What's up, internet friends? Welcome back. So I've recently been experimenting with this grayscale to color method in Procreate, and that's basically the big discovery here.
There's nothing to fear here. It scares me.
I found that painting in grayscale and then layering colors on top is like the fastest way I've ever painted in Procreate in like the 4 years I've had this iPad. So let's take a deeper dive into the process of coloring this Naruto drawing that I got here. Big ramen bowl. What you know about that? Also, stick around to the end of this video to hear my final thoughts on this method. I definitely developed a love-hate relationship with going from grayscale to color, and I'm gonna break down why. I'm also going to be doing a in-depth breakdown of every layer in this piece here, so stick around for that. I'll know if you don't stick around.
I will.
So the first thing I did with this piece was create a palette on a separate layer of like 4 to 5 colors ranging from white to black. And the idea was to focus entirely on value. And for like 90% of this painting, I'm using the standard Procreate flat brush, if you're wondering. And here you see I'm starting with, the darkest tones and layering lighter tones on top. And I'm just kind of really playing around with it, just switching from my light grays, my dark grays, depending on which area of the character I'm working on. Here I'm working on his hair. I know he has like blonde / yellow hair, so I'm using my lightest grays up there. I feel like his face, his skin tone might be darker in value compared to his hair, so with that logic, I'm going with darker grays on the face and skin tones. And you'll see that again when we get to his shirt, Naruto's like little tracksuit, track jacket outfit. I feel like orange on the value scale seems to be that it's darker than his skin tone. So I'll be using a darker gray for his outfit. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I probably could have used a more accurate value scale here by like grabbing an image of Naruto from Google, making it black and white, and then using the tones from that image to create my grayscale palette. But I didn't do that, so your boy had to wing it here. And because I was winging it, as I just mentioned, that's why you're seeing me kind of going back and forth, like darkening certain areas, lighting up certain areas. It's just like a constant me guessing, how is this gonna look when I add some color to it? Like, is it gonna look abnormally dark or abnormally white? And honestly, even though I did the best I could with the grayscale, guessing game that I was doing here, I still had to go back and make changes once I added the color, or once I layered the color on top of the grayscale. So now we're looking at my grayscale painting of Naruto, and at this point, I haven't even gotten to the bowl of ramen, but that's okay. I want to focus on the main character of this piece here. And honestly, off of like a first glance, if we get real close here, like off of a first glance, I'd say not bad. I think once I start to layer in the colors to the different sections, like the hair, the headband, the skin, the tracksuit, or jacket, whatever you want to call it. Once I start to layer those colors in, that's kind of when I'm gonna discover flaws in my shading, in my grayscale value understanding, or my overall understanding of grayscale value. And really, like, I'm gonna realize like, oh crap, this area was shaded too dark and this area was shaded too light. And I'm gonna have to tweak the grayscale even. But let's just have a closer look and watch that process. Let's watch it unfold, if you will. So I'm starting off with his hair here, and that was kind of like my first red flag. And basically what I'm doing is I'm taking, you know, a yellow color, and on a separate layer, I'm painting over my grayscale, and I'm setting that layer to either overlay, or I think the last option was color. And what that setting does is it kind of, I guess it's a blending setting that lets you not fully cover the drawing beneath, or the layer beneath, and it kind of just like, it's kind of like if you were painting on canvas and doing a glaze or a wash. I'm basically trying to do like wash layers over my grayscale underpainting for this entire piece. And as I'm doing that, as I'm adding these like overlay layers of different, you know, tones, like here I'm doing the skin tones, as I'm doing this, I'm like realizing, oh, certain areas seem off, or too dark, or too light, or just awkward. And I'm either gonna go back to the grayscale and adjust it, meaning like adjust it in grayscale, like make it lighter, make it darker. I definitely did that with the hair for sure, because I'm like, this yellow over the gray kind of looks crazy. So I definitely went over that. And I think I ended up duplicating the yellow layer at the end, just to make it kind of cover the grayscale a little further. But yeah, it was a lot of trial and error with this method. And I still think that it is the fastest method of painting in Procreate once you have the values down. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's a great exercise in values. Okay, so now we're looking at almost a semi-final version of how I want Naruto to look. And I want to take a closer look at the layers with you guys to give some insight. They're not as many as I thought it would be, and I think that's because I tend to merge layers as I finish certain areas. But yeah, I guess I've merged them at this point. But essentially what was going on here was I had a hair layer where I had a yellow overlay, and basically within that I also add layers on top to add highlights, and I also add layers on top of the overlay to add shadow. I believe I used a multiply to get these like darker yellows. And really just to give you like an example, like let's say this is the base yellow tone. If I wanted to make this, you know, darker, I would go set this to multiply. And I'm on my gouache brush at the moment. And as you can see, it kind of is darkening this yellow. Now let me raise the opacity. You see what I'm saying? That's what I mean when I say I had layers that were set to kind of give the yellow a little bit of a darker tone. And then if I wanted this to be lighter, I probably had it set to screen. So you see screen kind of gives it a little highlight. That's essentially what I was doing for each color section. And then when I was semi-happy with it, you could say, I probably merged them all together. And that's how we ended up with this. And then for some reason, I probably was like, wait, the face needs a little bit more color. It looks kind of flat and lifeless here. Let's give it some red tones to look like there's some blood flowing in his face. Set that to multiply, and I think I colored it with like a low opacity, and I guess I gave the nose a little bit more of a highlight here. Set to screen, as you could see. Skin tone color set to screen, and then I guess I had some major highlights on his shoulder and his ear, eye, side of the nose. And I did that, which you'll see when I play the remainder of this process video. You'll see I added those touches in because of some additional effects that I wanted to play with at the end of it. But for now, let's just watch the rest of the process video and just vibe out. And then we're gonna meet back here at the end, and you'll see why these highlights, these little accents, made sense in the end to me. All right, we're kind of at the end here. This is the final piece that I turned into Instagram, so that makes it official. And now I think these highlights that I mentioned earlier make sense because I've got this like beam of light coming through here. And the way I created that beam of light was by adding a couple multiply layers of this purple color that you see here that I duplicated. And I just erased a diagonal that was just like shining on the bowl of ramen to make it look like it was a gift from the gods, if you will. And then I had another layer where I just layered in like a warm yellow to kind of bring some warmth to that space of light. And yeah, that now these highlights that I mentioned before make sense. Like the highlight on the nose, got his nose popping, shoulder, neck, and eyeball and ear. You're like, oh, that's why there's like a hard light on his ear, because of this beam that's beaming down on him and the bowl of ramen. But yeah, that's pretty much where this piece took me. Overall final thoughts on grayscale to color, I would say it's definitely the fastest way to paint, no question. The fastest way to digital paint, no question. And it's great for that purpose. It could be hard when you're painting like skin tones, I would say, because when you layer like a generic skin tone on top of grayscale, it kind of comes out dead or just lifeless. And that's when you gotta start playing with like warm layer settings on top of that. And it's not as simple as just like, oh, I painted, you know, this in grayscale and then I just layered one color over each area. Like each area took some time actually for this piece. Another piece I did, this Spider-Man piece, that took like an hour. I mean, this piece, again, it still was fast. It took like maybe 2 to 3 hours tops. But that still was more time than, for example, if I'm gonna go and show you guys this Spider-Man piece. This thing took like, I mean, I'm not gonna say no time, but it was just the fastest I ever made a digital piece. And I think it's because I had like 3 colors really. I had red, blue, brown for the table, and I guess a yellow mug. And then I just painted it all in grayscale. And I still got my layers here. I didn't really merge them. But yeah, I painted everything in grayscale on this layer, and then I just layered on top, overlay, then a multiply. Same method, it just took less time because these colors just kind of worked on the grayscale because he's wearing, I guess, a mask. The whole thing, he's just fully covered. I think if I had to draw like Peter Parker, then I would have to worry about those things of it appearing lifeless and having to do more to bring it alive. But nonetheless, I think it's a great way to knock out some pieces quickly. And I'll probably be using this method more. I think what I'm gonna try to do though is like, depending on the vibe of the piece, I might do underpaintings in like blue if I want it to have like a cool vibe, or do underpaintings in like browns if I wanted to have a warm vibe. And I think that might give it more life than grayscale to color. I think a blue scale to color or a brown scale to color will be better for making your paintings look more alive, and you'll still achieve a faster painting rate through those methods. That's all I got. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found value in these tips, in these breakdowns. Yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time, friends. So you actually stuck around, huh? You think you better than everybody, huh? Well, you are, man. You are. I'm just playing, man. Just a guy that plays too much, you know? If you made it this far, you probably know this is the Patreon shout-out section where I thank my patrons for holding me down. There ain't many of you. There could be more, you know? Check me out, bruh. $1 a month, support your boy. $3 a month, you might get something out of it. 5? You might really get something out of it. But 10? Oh man, we pretty much go together at that point. Check me out. Till next time, peace.